We'll go as long as my bladder holds up, and then I may have to step out for 2 minutes, but we'll just stop in between speeches to handle that. And I promise I won't drink any more water the whole time you guys are talking, just so that we can hopefully stave it off for a while. All right, that being said, I'll be giving you time signals, obviously, unless you feel like you don't need them, but I'll give you time signals. Usually I'll just start when you have 5 minutes left and count down 4, 3, 2, 1 minute left, 30 seconds, 15, count down to your last 5, and then I'll, of course, slap the table when we are out of protected time. All right, that being said, let's go ahead and get started. We will first entertain a speech from the Prime Minister.
Ready? Hello, I'd like to thank everyone for being here today. I'd like to thank my partner for setting up what appears to be a sound case. I'd like to thank the opposition for coming and hopefully helping us become better critical thinkers in this clash. And I'd like to thank the adjudicator. And with that, I'll get right into the case. Today, the resolution read, "This House believes that it is better to beg for forgiveness than to ask permission." And we as the government team decided to redefine these terms because it's our right and our obligation to, as the Chicago Bears, the Chicago Bears organization believe that it is better to seek solace from the fans than to give the fans what they want in an explosive offense. And I'll say that one more time. The Chicago Bears organization believes that it is better to seek solace from the fans than to give the fans what they want, a more explosive offense. We believe this is a value case, and with that, our weighing mechanism is utilitarianism, which is the most good for the most people. Just like 50% plus one, just the most good for the most people. And with that, I'll get right into case. Our first contention is, I'll take it first.
Could you just clarify the terms beg forgiveness and ask permission, please? I wasn't quite clear.
Beg forgiveness, seek solace.
Okay.
And ask permission, give the fans what they want.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem. With that, I'll get right into it. Our first contention is the Bears' plans. The Bears want to keep their defense fresh and able to compete in games. So our A point here is the defense is on the field. Keep the defense on the field and keep the defense fresh. Our little one underneath that is the Bears went out of their way to pick up Jay Cutler last year, a quarterback that's they hoped to manage games and make the long passes that needed to be done and keep the ball moving. Just get first downs every series and keep the defense fresh and off the field. Our little two underneath that is Matt Forte and the running game. They're putting a lot of stock into Matt Forte, protecting him, keeping the running game on the field, keeps the clock going, it manages the game, and it keeps the defense off the field, and it keeps them fresh, and it keeps them able to compete when they are on the field. They're not getting gassed when they're on the field. Our B point here is Orlando Pace. They picked up Orlando Pace, a veteran player, a little one. He's proven. Orlando Pace is a proven Pro Bowl offensive lineman. He has proven quality, so they forked over the money to get him, and with that protection of the quarterback and to promote a better running game, it gives the defense more of a time to rest. They're cementing their obligations here for Cutler and Forte with picking up Orlando Pace. Our C point here is their linebackers. The Bears are notorious for a strong running game and a hard-nosed, no-nonsense linebacker crew. And they have Brian Urlacher, who happens to be hurt right now, but they keep on giving this marquee player who has proven himself, gone to Pro Bowls, he's a veteran on the team, and he's a captain on the team. They keep giving this guy money and keeping him in Chicago because he's the face of Chicago. Our little two under that is Lance Briggs. Lance Briggs, a couple of years ago, had options to go other places. Other teams wanted him, but the Bears forked the money to keep him because they knew that a strong linebacking core was key to the Chicago philosophy of football. With that, we move into contention 2, coaching strategy. Our A point here is Lovie Smith. Little one underneath Lovie Smith. Lovie Smith loves a strong defense. He knows what Chicago's about. He knows that Chicago is about strong defenses, monsters of the Midway, dirty, gritty play, get in there, hard-nosed football. Our second point underneath this, it worked in 2005 when the Bears made it to the Super Bowl. The Bears' defense that year was one of the best in the leagues. It works. It's proven that it works. Lovie Smith knows this, and he keeps it going. Our B point here is the Chicago Bears stockpile the defensive line. They have a numerous amount of players on the bench at that position. The little one underneath this is they're flooded at the position, and that keeps players fresh. If somebody gets gassed and then the defense has to be on the field for a long time, it gives the Bears an opportunity to interchange them. And with that, I'll take it first.
So you're saying the defense is the most important role for the football team?
Yes.
They need.
Yes.
Okay.
Our little two is they're interchangeable for situations. Wildcat offenses, shotguns, passing downs. The defensive line is interchangeable. The Bears know how important this is, and they've stockpiled it. Our C point here is their future plans of drafting secondary players. Our little one under this is they're going to use their, I'll get to you in one moment. Our little one is they're using their high picks for secondary players, and that proves that they're promoting their defense. And with this, I'll take your second of three questions.
What would you consider the role of them hiring Devin Hester?
Devin Hester was drafted as a defensive player. Little two, drafting secondary players helps the special teams because you're only allotted so many skilled players on a roster, and if you secondary is not considered a skilled position, but they can fill that void in special teams. Our C point here is harms of the fans. Our A point here is fans don't know the ins and outs of football. Our little one is they only watch the games on Sunday and then they're Monday morning quarterbacks. They really don't know the behind the scenes. They just know that the big numbers look good. And our little two underneath our A is the salary cap. Defensive players are cheaper. You can sign a defensive player for a long-term contract cheaper than a skilled position such as a wide receiver or running back. Our B point here underneath the harms of the fans don't actually play. The fans may have a fantasy football team that they're concerned about. They want big numbers of the team they're consistently watching. They want Matt Forte to put up big numbers. They want Cutler to put up big numbers. But in fantasy football, you don't have a defense. Individual defensive players. They just want to root for their team. Our little two underneath that is the Pro Bowl. They're only concerned with the big big pizzazz that comes with it. I'm sorry, I'm out of time. I'm going to protect the time. Our C point is coaches know that defenses win championships, and fans just knows that offense gives pizzazz. And our little one underneath that is both of the Super Bowls were defensive teams, and our number two is offense. The fans want offensive teams, and they only give TV ratings. And with that, I urge a government vote.
All right, we'll now hear a speech from the Leader of Opposition not to exceed 8 minutes.
All right, I'd like to start off with some thank yous. I'd like to thank my partner Greg. It's the first time we've debated together at a tournament, so this is lots and lots of fun. I'd like to thank the government team for presenting an interesting case for us to debate today. I'd like to thank the judge for coming out. I'd like to thank the peanut gallery for coming not only to watch, but to videotape us as well. Really awesome. I hope we get on YouTube, maybe, if we do good. Okay, jumping right into this resolution today. We see that this resolution is this House believes that it is better to beg forgiveness than to ask permission in this situation. They have defined this House as the Chicago Bears beg forgiveness as seek solace in the fans, and ask for permission as give fans what they want, a more powerful offense in this situation. We have more of a general resolutional analysis of this case in this situation, not really definitional challenges because their definitions are not abusive, but they really haven't analyzed this resolution the way it should be analyzed, particularly when it comes to beg forgiveness and ask permission. In this situation, when you beg for forgiveness, it means you've gone out and you've done something. You just did it. You didn't care what anyone else thought, you just went ahead and did it. But when we see the Bears, they care constantly what their fans think in this situation. If they don't have their fans supporting them, they lose money. Less money means you can't hire better players, means you don't get anywhere in the regular season, and you definitely don't make it to the Super Bowl or the postseason in this situation. So they have stated in this sentence that the Bears don't care what their fans say. But I would say the Bears care more than anything else what the fans think and what they think of what they're doing in their organization today. And exactly is why they went out and got Cutler, because they were giving in to their fans in this situation. So I want you to keep this resolution analysis in mind throughout the case, because in this case, they have actually reversed the roles in this situation. The Bears have actually given in to their fans. They went out and got Cutler in this situation. And I just want you to keep that in mind. We're not really challenging their definition because they're not abusive. Coming down to this, it is a value, the weighing mechanism, more good for the most people. They're arbitrary 51%. They can't prove 51%. We can't not prove them 51%. So just the weighing mechanism needs to be more preferable than non-preferable in this situation. That's a standard value weighing mechanism. Putting an arbitrary number on it doesn't help anyone in this case, so we're going to use more preferable than non-preferable. So you're going to see that it is more preferable to ask permission than beg forgiveness throughout this case. Coming to their first contention, the idea that the Bears' plans. The big A is that their defense needs to be fresh. They give the example of little one, they picked up Cutler, and little two, they are using their running game. I'm going to group these together because these actually prove our point. They are protecting their running game. They got Cutler because they're giving in to the Bears fan who want a more high-powered offense in this situation. Therefore, that helps us in this situation. My second argument is that you need a strong offense to keep your defense fresh. And the Bears have realized this. If the defense is on the outside all the time, then they're actually going to need a stronger offense, which is not what the affirmative team wants them to do, because the affirmative team does not want to give in to the Bears fans who want a stronger offense. But you need a stronger offense to keep your defense fresh. Coming to their big B, the idea of Orlando Pace, he's a proven lineman, they say. Just because he's proven doesn't mean he's going to help out at all. There's this thing called injuries in sports, and when you get injured, you are no use to your team. So just because he's a proven lineman doesn't give him any more benefit than any other person, because he could get injured just like anyone else, and therefore he doesn't help out your team anymore. Coming down to their big C, the linebackers, their example of Urlacher and Lansbury, I'm going to group these together because they're basically the same argument again. In this situation, they kept these guys around, and they're not helping their team. That's my main argument here. These guys have been around for a while and have not allowed the Bears to be successful in this situation. That's why the Bears have went out and got Cutler, because they realize a defense alone cannot win a championship. You need a strong offense as well. And that's why the Bears are giving in to their fans. Coming to their big contention, or their second contention, excuse me, of coaching. They have big A, Lovie Smith. And they say that Lovie Smith realizes he wants a strong defense in this situation. Now I'm going to grant them the point that how the Bears got to the Super Bowl was based on a strong defense. However, I also want to point out and realize that during those strong defensive years, they also had strong offenses too that throughout the year had been very productive and had helped the Bears defense get off the field. However, after they lost to the Colts, the Bears offense completely collapsed, and that's why they didn't make it back to the Super Bowl the year after that or even make the playoffs. So what we can understand is that Lovie Smith likes a strong defense, but Lovie Smith also realizes you need a strong offense to win championships. Offense scores points, not defense. And you need to keep that in mind, that the offense scores the points, and you can only win if you have more points on the board at the end of the game. Coming to their second big B here, the defensive line. They say that it is flooded and that they're interchangeable. The idea that their defense, yes, I'll take the first of your three questions.
Are you saying the defense cannot score points?
Defense can score points, but the majority of teams who score points from their offense. It is very rarely that defense actually scores points for a team. I'd like you to keep that in mind. Coming down to the interchangeable part now. They say that defensive linemen are interchangeable with offensive linemen. I'd like to point out that in the NFL, defensive linemen are not incredibly interchangeable with offensive linemen because they don't practice the plays, they don't understand the plays. Therefore, to put them in would actually hurt their offense in this situation and actually make it worse. Coming down to their C here, the draft, is that they want second rated players or second string players, I guess, so that they could fill these spots up because they don't cost as much. And they say that most of these are coming from the defensive side. This is because a lot of their defensive players, such as Brian Urlacher, are hurt. They need to replace these players because you need a strong defense and offense together to really be a championship team. And coming to their final C of the fans, is that the little one that they only watch the game, so they don't understand the game. I would directly refute this, is that many fans who watch the NFL actually truly understand the game. They understand what you need to do to win and what you need to do to prosper. Many fans of football also coach football, also participate in football on a regular basis, and they understand the basics of the game. Anyone who has ever played football can watch it and understand what is going on. So most fans, I do think, understand what football is all about and how you can win. Coming down to their little two is that the defense are cheaper. This is not always true. I'm going to use their example of Brian Urlacher against them. They spent millions of dollars on Brian Urlacher and Lance Briggs to keep them there, and these guys aren't helping them win games. So it's not necessarily true that offenses are more expensive. It can just be the random player, such as Brian Urlacher, who costs a team a lot of money. Good players cost a team a lot of money no matter if they're on defense or offense. Coming to their little three now is they say that fans don't actually play, and that because they don't play, they aren't concerned about it. I would directly challenge this in saying that fans are concerned what their sports teams do because we spend millions of dollars on sports merchandise every single year. Fans want their teams to do good because what's the point of buying a Bears jersey if you're only going to be made fun of by Green Bay Packer fans who are way better? We need to realize that fans are concerned because they spend money on these teams and they want these teams to do good, and that is why they spend the money here. Coming down to a little forward, they say that the Pro Bowl is only flashy and focuses on the offense. I'd like to point out that in the Pro Bowl, the offense has to play a defense, and defensive players get put to the Pro Bowl too, and the fans want all of their players to go to the Pro Bowl, no matter if they're on defense or offense. Once again, the example of Brian Urlacher. Bears fans would like to see him go to the Pro Bowl just as much as any offensive player. And I want to come down to, say, counter contention now, just general observations of our counter contention one, the drawbacks of begging. We have big A, is that clearly when you beg, you did something wrong. We have little one, is that you acted inappropriately by not asking someone if you could do something. Which leads to little two, is that you break your trust between parties. So the Bears in this situation have actually increased their trust by using what the fans want, getting a stronger offense. They didn't break them because they're not begging this situation. And coming down to big B, we can see that you might not get forgiveness that you want. We see little one, is that the person could be really angry with you. If the Bears didn't try to get a more high-powered offense, their fans would of course be angry. Just listen to the WGN anytime, there's Bears angry fans all the time. And then we can see that little two, that by having an angry fan in this situation, they won't actually resolve the issue at hand. So if the Bears had made their fans angry, they wouldn't want to support them anymore, they'd be angry, and they would stop showing up to games and buying merchandise. For all these reasons, I strongly urge an opposition ballot.
We will now entertain a speech from the member of government not to exceed 8 minutes.
I'd like to thank everybody from out today. I'd like to thank my partner for setting up this very original case. We don't very often discuss football. I figured it was a good day to do that. I'd like to thank you guys for being here. It's always good to see you and debate you. I'd like to thank the adjudicator to be here. Without you, we'd have nothing to read after the end of today. So with that, we'll move right into the resolution. The resolution as redefined by the government, as is a right, as the opposition agreed to. The Chicago Bears, as an organization, believe that it is better to seek solace from fans than to give them what they want. And what they want is a high-power, high-explosive offense. So we believe that the Bears think we need a defense, and the fans wish for an exciting offense, something like Saints or Colts. The opposition ran not a T, but a critique kind of our term of beg forgiveness. That to beg forgiveness, to not worry about begging forgiveness, you just do it. You just go out and just don't care about what they say, and you just hit it hard. Exactly. That is exactly what we're saying today. The Bears are ignoring, and have to ignore it to become successful, what that fans want. Because they know what it takes to win championships in Chicago, because they know Chicago. So we fit this and exceed it, so you can kind of throw that out. To the utilitarianism comment, 51+1, utilitarianism, we believe it's the most good for the most people, the most good for Chicago, the most good for the people there to move forward. It is more preferable, we can actually use both. It is more preferable for everyone. I'll take your first.
I'm just wondering how we're going to be able to evaluate this 51% number in this case today. How are we going to use this arbitrary number?
51% being the fans, or the people in Chicago are going to gain from more. So that's the goal. The goal is that more people than this is good for the most people. And that means, kind of explain what the most good for the most people is 51%. It's 50+1. Moving on to the first contention of their plan. Their plan being the Bears' plan, the coach's plan. A point here, we, as the government said, to keep the defense off the field. Why do you want to keep the defense off the field? So they're fresh and they can come out hard hitting. The reason that the Bears lost in 05, the Super Bowl, is because the defense was tired. Why? Poor running game, poor quarterback. That's it right there. So what they do to help their defense out, got a good quarterback, got a good running back. That was the goal. The goal wasn't to make a high-power offense. If they wanted a high-power offense, they wouldn't have Devin Hester there. They would put in, or they wouldn't have their bad receiving line. They did that because they know that Color can control a game, and Forte can also help them control a game. But I'll take your second three.
Just very clear to what you're saying, these are the actions they're taking in order to help their defense, right?
Yes, they have to. It is they are ignoring what they don't need a Randy Moss. They need the defense. B point here is Orlando Pace. Orlando Pace is there to don't have to worry about him. There's a guy here we don't really need to worry about. Yeah, he might get hurt, but when he comes to the game, no one expects a football player, a professional athlete, to get hurt. They expect him to perform at excellent. They don't need to train him, so they can focus more on the defense. That's the goal here. They're having an old or experienced offensive line so they can focus more on the defense. A great example of why they're putting more focus, and they don't care about what their fans and fans want than to go out and get Randy Moss, et cetera, et cetera. They care more importantly about what's happening with the defense. That is the coaching staff. That is the Bears organization. Let's take your third and final question.
Is Orlando Price, right?
Pace.
Sorry. Is he going to have more benefit for the defense who's not on the field, or the offense when he's on the field with the offense?
To the Chicago Bears, he's having more help with the defense as the main goal, because if the quarterback doesn't get sacked, the quarterback stays on the field, it'll help them out and stay fresh so they can destroy and make Brady cry is kind of the goal. C point here, the idea of linebackers. Linebackers have helped in the past, and football teams don't go in thinking, oh, what if they're going to get hurt? What if they're not going to do a good job? They look at their potential in the past and predict the future. Lance Briggs and Urlacher have always been healthy and always have done a really good job in the past. Because they're not doing so good at this very point in the offense is not the goal. They have a plan. That is the plan, so they implemented their plan, and it worked in 2005. It worked in 2005, and they focused on their defense. They fixed the problems of the offense with Cutler and Forte. That is the plan. That is the goal. They don't care that the fans want this explosive offense. They care about winning games, because at the end of the day, by winning games, that's how they're going to get their forgiveness. That's how they're going to get the old goal of getting our fans back because we won a Super Bowl. That's what's important to them. And they don't care about doing it. They're doing it now, so they don't have to ask. Through the second intention, the idea of coaching strategy. Lovie Smith. Lovie Smith has been the coach, and ever since he's been their coach, defense has been number one. That is the goal. The opposition has come here to say that in 2005, and whenever they've won or gone far, won championships, they've also had a good offense. Yeah, they had a better defense. The focus was on the defense. The focus will always be on the defense. Lovie Smith, by his own admission, says, yeah, we have to have an okay offense, but more importantly, we want to keep the defense on the field because the defense scores points. A great example of this, how defensive players scores points. Devin Hester, the guy who scored more points than anybody else on their team, was a defensive player. When he became an offensive wide receiver, he stopped scoring as many points. The defense is what's important. B point here, the stockpile of linemen, defensive linemen, not offensive linemen. Somehow the opposition kind of misconstrued our words, where we said linemen in general. No, defensive linemen. And defensive linemen are important for the defense. They don't have a stockpile of offensive linemen. They have a stockpile of good offensive linemen, but stockpile of good defensive linemen. We've already used it a few questions. I gotta get a lot to get through. Because it's important for the defense to get it done and keep them fresh and keep them healthy. C point here, draft secondary. Also, maybe it's a miscommunication. When we mean by secondary, we mean free safeties, secondary safety, our cornerbacks. That's the guys in the back of the field, the guys that aren't in the front hitting. That's what we mean by secondaries. And their plan, they've gone and said that our plan is to draft high in the draft these players. And that's the goal of the team. That's the goal. And that proves they were more worried about defense, more important. They're like, we need to worry about the defense, make the defense look good, no matter what they say. Moving on to the fans. What do the fans want? We all want to see a great quarterback throw to a great wide receiver and go, yeah, we totally did that. It is boring to see, the good defense. But what wins championships? Always wins championships. Defense. Defense have always won champions. Defense will always win championships. That is the most important part, and that is why the Chicago Bears as an organization doesn't care what they say. They know what wins because they're coaches. That leads to my first point. The fans don't know football. The fans know what they like, and the fans like to see touchdowns. But they also like to see Super Bowls. So by winning a Super Bowl with a defense, which has been proven to do so, they're going to get the fans back. They're going to continue to win. So the fans may know high school football. They didn't want to know college football. The pro football is completely different. It's in its own realm. B point here, a viewpoint on our harms of the fans is the fans don't play. They just watch. They want their fantasy football players to do well, and they want their best guy to go to the Pro Bowl. It doesn't matter. The football organization, winning the Super Bowl, getting to the playoffs is the most important. And by doing what they think will get them to the championships by having a strong defense and not worrying about what they want, what the fans want for an offense, doesn't matter. And that's how they get revenue. That's how they get money. The argument of merchandise, throw it out the window. If you win a Super Bowl, you're going to sell tons of merchandise. And that's how you win Super Bowl games, is by strong defense. C point here, defense wins championships. I've been saying it all along, I'm going to continue to say it. That is why the Chicago Bears organization is so focused on the defense. They don't care, they don't need to ask permission. They will beg for forgiveness later after they've won a Super Bowl. With that, I urge the government ballot.
Okay, this House will now entertain a speech from the member of opposition not to exceed 8 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. It's a very interesting case. I'm sure this is fun for you because it's all about sports. Hopefully we have some sports fans in the background. Maybe not, we'll have to see. However, let's get into this case. I have a lot to say. First of all, there's one point I'd like to bring up about the Patriots. They bring up the Patriots as well, if I'm not mistaken. But first of all, the Patriots, the reason why they won the Super Bowl is because they had a strong offense. Now, there's something, I'm going to provide an overall critique on all of their arguments that talk about promoting a strong defense. He himself said, winning the Super Bowl is what brings in money, it's what brings in income, it's what brings in everything. Okay, he's completely right about this. How do you win a Super Bowl? A touchdown. That's offense. How do you determine how a game is won? How many touchdowns people have? How do you determine, how is interceptions taken? Well, a person runs to the touchdown, makes a touchdown. A game is won by offense. Granted, defense, of course, is needed. You can't just have no defense. But all games are won by offense, as you can see. Now, another thing that I want to critique is their entire plan here does not beg for forgiveness in any way. When my partner brought up the resolutional analysis, he brings up that some of the issues we have with the resolutional analysis, I'll get to your question in just a second. The entire plan does not beg for forgiveness. Whether it's picking up Cutler, Matt, Orlando, these are all offensive tactics that the Bears are using in order to promote their own team. In no way is this defensive whatsoever. In no way is picking up new players, creating new strategies, entering Super Bowls, entering games. This is all offensive tactics. Whether it's on the field making touchdowns to win the Super Bowl, or off the field and hiring these players. That is offensive because it requires money that's being spent. Yes?
Two-part question. One, do you believe the Patriots had a really bad defense? And two, do you disagree that you can score touchdowns on a defense by interceptions, forced fumbles, or a safety?
Thank you. I'm very glad you asked that question. The Patriots had a very strong offense, and that's why they won. And once you do get a fumble, once you do get those things, it requires that player to go into offensive mode. Not defensive to protect himself, but offensive, opening himself up to the line of fire of other players attacking him, going offensively against them, because that's what wins the game. That's what gets the touchdown. Now also, one of the things I like to bring up, they bring up a point about Hester, Devin Hester. He's offensive, this has greatly helped them. And two, he's one of the best players, even though he can't read. He's an offensive player scoring touchdowns, so it still works for them. Also, the defense about the Orlando, of course, helping the offense as well. He's a well-known player, as they said, and his various tactics used on defense or offense, especially offense, allows them to gain so much support. Now, I would like to move to their weighing mechanism as my next contention. It's impossible in a case like this to uphold the 51.5%, as my partner mentioned. How are you, this is unfair to you actually, as a judge, how to decide going through each one, doing a calculation of what 51% is. We have to look at this as the counter contention about what benefits most people. We can't listen to, the government does not, the government's supposed to provide a way for you to weigh this. A weighing mechanism of 51%, I mean, we can't expect the judge to be a mathematician. Not that you can't do that, but it's kind of unfair to you to have to, they're saying you have to go down and look at every argument and outweigh it and so forth. And it's just, I'm sorry, it's a little ridiculous. Now also, okay, let's see. All right, let me move on case to case, line by line on a couple of things I'd like to talk about. As my partner brought up, they talked about getting a fresh defense such as Jay Cutler and Matt. First of all, this is actually giving into the fans, as my partner Will brought up, which is part of an offensive marketing strategy as well as offensive playing strategy by hiring these people. Also, this creates a strong offensive, which my partner Will brought up. Now, they also talk about they talk about how Orlando's a proven football player. And my partner brings up, they're not taking into consideration the injury that can be brought forth. If a player is injured, no matter what position he's on, actually, I'd like to take this point and apply it to us. If a player is injured, it provides offensive player an inability to score a touchdown, again, which is what wins a game. Also, my partner says that guys are kept around, and he also, again, brings up the point about strong offensive. These guys are being kept around. What my partner brought up was what they're suggesting, this whole idea that we're hiring new players. This is a non-unique argument. Football teams are always on the offensive, hiring new players, hiring new ways to create strategies in order to win. Now, according to contention 2, which they bring up, how Lovie Smith helps the defense, how the Super Bowl requires a good offense. Again, I already said the Super Bowl is won by a touchdown. It's not won by a defensive action. 2, we can also see the benefits of asking permission. This is a new argument. 1, it promotes a group effort. So when you do ask for permission, such as the Bears asked permission for a player to join, you're asking that player to join, thus allowing him to engage in a contract, which is to help someone win. This is just kind of a side argument, a side note I'd like to bring up. However, moving back on the case, when we take a look at the harms of fans and how it doesn't look good, my partner brings up that in order to maintain, actually, I'm sorry, I got a little mixed up there. Let me move on to the next point. My partner Will also brings up how, in his resolution analysis, that when you go out, they are going out and do something, and I bring this up too, which again is offensive strategy, like I mentioned before, and that the weighing mechanism needs to be more preferable than non-preferable. Will also says that fans do understand what's going on. You cannot underestimate the ability of the fans, so who's watching the game, they understand what's going on. I would like to add to this that when a touchdown is made, that's what gets the fan excited. That's the point of hiring, buying those fingers and flags and so forth. When you use those, when there's a touchdown, not on a defense. When there's a touchdown, that's when everybody gets excited. Yes?
Can we agree that most money that comes to a football team is through their sponsorships and Coca-Cola commercials, and from the NFL itself? A good amount, but most of it comes.
Just a point.
Can we agree that most of it comes from?
Okay, thank you. I'm glad you bring that up. When a team wins a game by scoring a touchdown, which is an offensive move, yes, they gain a lot of money. How do they gain a lot of money? By winning a lot of games. How do you win a lot of games? By having a strong offensive, such as Devin Hester playing for you. Also, the other thing that I think this case is going to come down to, actually, just to give an overall analysis, is the idea that they had to uphold the resolution that begging for forgiveness is more preferable. Yet, if you actually look at the question that he just asked about getting promotions, about getting money, that has nothing to do with begging for forgiveness. It also has nothing to do with asking for permission. What that has to do with is promoting a marketing strategy. So here the government team kind of goes off case to talk about marketing strategies and so forth. They're talking about how we can gain more money. Throughout the entire case, they have not upheld this idea of asking for permission. How are their points of hiring Jay Cutler or Orlando? How are their points about the fans? They didn't even mention that the fans were asking for any type of permission. So their case is actually an offensive case in itself, in which shows how the Bears can promote a better marketing strategy, a better way to win, a better way to get more fans. In no way is this asking permission. Not once did they say you have to ask the fans, you have to ask the players. He's talking about Lovie Smith being on the offensive and taking action. Thank you.
Okay,
You don't
well, now
time
you're-
roadmaps, do you?
Sorry, say again?
You don't time roadmaps, do you?
I don't know what you mean by a
Roadmap,
roadmap.
just like I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do, like.
Oh, laying out your structure?
That.
No, that's a fine, I won't.
Okay,
Review
just
item.
to give you a roadmap quick, then I'm gonna go through voters, then I'm gonna go down through case structures, so I might jump around a little bit case structure. All right, starting off with some thank yous. Thank you to all this has been great debate, but I really need to get into it. Today I'm gonna present 3 voters to you why you can feel comfortable voting for the opposition team, why you should vote for us, and why you can feel comfortable giving us the win in this round. Our first voter is that of the resolutional analysis. We have given you that they did not analyze this resolution the way they should have. When someone begs for forgiveness, they fail to take into account what other people are thinking. They fail to do this, and then they don't ask permission. They don't ask them what they think. But in this situation, we can see that the Bears, in fact, are taking into account what their fans think. They have hired Jay Cutler. They have gotten better offense. They are protecting their running game. Examples that the government team used, which support our case, that the Bears do in fact care what their fans are thinking. And they're taking steps now and even into the future to make sure that they have a powered offense, because they realize you need to score points. The offense is the majority of where points come from. Yes, defense can score points every once in a while, but your offense is where the majority of your points come from and where you are going to get the points you need to win the game in the end. Coming to our second voter, the idea is that, in fact, the Bears do give in to their fans. The Bears are giving in to them right now by hiring Cutler, by protecting their running game, and by investing more money into their offensive team in this situation. And coming down to our third and final voter, it's the argument about the defense versus offense. What really wins games for you? And our example of the Patriot proves that an offense is a much better way to win. Their example of the Bears going to the Super Bowl in 2005, what did they get beat by? They got beat by the high-powered offense of Peyton Manning and their wide receivers running over their defense in this situation. Their defense got them there, but their defense did not win the game for them. It was the defense that lost the game, and the Colts' high-powered offense that won it for them. Therefore, we can see it as an offense, not a defense, that truly wins in this situation. Jumping down the case structure here, I'd like to jump down right to our counter contention in this situation. I'd like to point out that our counter contention was completely dropped by the government team. They dropped this. So clearly they are in agreement, and this flows to our side, that there are drawbacks to begging, that you can acted wrong in this situation, and the Bears did by just going with their defense and not promoting an offense. And that in fact you can get someone who's angry with you, such as their fans, and that they might not forgive you and might not support you anymore. Which in this case, some Bears fans, for example, have thought, why are we continuing to support a team who only focuses on their defense? So jumping back up to the top of case structure now, let's go to their first contention here. The idea that defense needs to be fresh into this situation. And their examples of Cutler and the running game flow to our side and prove our side that they're giving into their fans once again. Coming down to their big B, the idea of Orlando Pace. I asked, who does Orlando Pace help more? They said the defense, but that's not the case. He is an offensive player giving protection to the quarterback so the quarterback and the other wide receivers can score points. He helps the offense more than he does the defense in this situation. Therefore, they're supporting their offense. Jumping down to their second contention here, the idea of Lovie Smith. Once again, I'd like to point out that Lovie Smith's team got beat, his high-powered defense got beat by the high-powered Colts offense in this situation. Tony Dungy outthought Lovie Smith on the offensive side and clearly won. And the Colts didn't even have that good of a defense. They had one of the worst defenses in the NFL, and they still were able to win the Super Bowl. So high-powered defenses don't necessarily equal wins. Coming down now to the idea of the fans. The idea that, once again, that the fans do care. They say they don't play, that they don't care, they don't understand. But fans do understand how you win football games. And they do care because they do spend money. Even if we grant them the point of promotions and advertising. They advertise because these companies realize football fans watch, that they go out and buy these, therefore giving more money back to the team in this situation. And the fans do care what goes on in this situation. For all these reasons, I strongly urge that you vote for the opposition.
All right, we'll now hear our speech not to exceed 5 minutes from our Prime Minister.
Are you still okay? Do you need to take a break, or?
No, I'm seriously like about to die, but I know I can hold that for 5 more minutes.
Okay. I'll try
It
not
kind
to
of
take,
hurts,
I'll
though.
try to get through this quick.
You're fine, really. But I will run out of here as soon as you like stop talking. Go ahead.
All right, I'd like to thank everyone for being here once again. I thank the opposition for a great clash, and thank my partner for setting up a great case, and the judge for having used the restroom here. With that, I'll get right into the opposition voters. The opposition voters, their first voter is the resolution analysis. It's the government's team and our obligation to redefine the terms, and they accepted these terms. We can just cross that out, because they accepted our terms and our redefinitions. Their second voter is that the Bears organization does give in to the fans. No, it's a strategy to improve the defense. Yes, the Bears do have to have an offense, but their offense is to support their defense. Their third voter is defense versus offense. Offense is wins. And my rebuttal to that is defense wins championships. Two high-powered teams, they're just going to go guns a-blazing. There's going to be big points scored, but there has to be a winner in that game too, and it's the team with the better defense. And that moves right into our voters. Our first voter is Devin Hester. The opposition team keeps on bringing up Devin Hester's name. Devin Hester was drafted as a defensive player. He was drafted as a cornerback, and he to return kicks to help on special teams. The Bears' defensive strategy was to draft Devin Hester, and he's just transitioned into an offensive player. Our second point is WAG mechanism, the most good for the most people. Chicago Bear fans are happy when the Bears win football games. How do you win football games? With defense. The fans will be happy. They might not agree with the Bears' strategy of plunking money and resources into the defense, but they will be happy with the wins that will happen. Our third voter here is past Super Bowls. The Bears got to past Super Bowls and have won past Super Bowls on the shoulders of their defense. The years that they win, they're not known for their offense, they're known for a hard-nosed, gritty, grindy defense. It's the Bears' philosophy is to do strong defenses. And our fourth voter here is the flow. We proved that we win with the flow. The Bears' plan, they keep the defense on the field, keep the defense off the field, keep them fresh with the use of the offense. Orlando Pace, keeping the offense on the field to get your bread and butter, the defense out there. The linebacker crew, we want to keep these hard-nosed, hitting, controlling players on the team. The harms of the fans really don't know the ins and outs of football. They don't know what it takes. They don't know how the practices are constructed. They just know that they want to see a winning team, and the Bears are trying to provide that with a strong defense. And with that, I urge a government.